Welcome to the Coffee Club, broadcasting live from New York with your host, Felix, and co-host, Dr. Marc. So let's have a cup of coffee and enjoy the show.
There is no heaven. There is no hell. There is only this world and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
We are here. We're live from New York.
I am Felix.
And I am the Doc.
And we are at Trump Central.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice view from up here, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing that.
I love Central Park, and it's so green and beautiful.
And the East River.
I bet the people, they don't understand that, you know. The Donald invited us up. We're going to be doing an interview, right?
Oh, sure. We got a view all the way around. It's a views all the way around. You can see the Statue of Liberty from one end. Turn your head around and go the other way. You see the RFK Bridge, formerly known as the Triborough Bridge. Right next to us is practically the Empire State Building.
It's very true. I mean, yes, we are here and live in Manhattan.
I don't know about live.
And, well, we welcome you to the Coffee Club. I have my coffee. Felix has his. We told you that since it's the holiday season, you can have either a hot toddy or maybe some hot chocolate. Unfortunately, we can't do any drinking. It's FCC rules.
There it is.
I don't know.
Sounds good.
If it is,
it sounds good.
Somebody never told Imus, you know. So I mean, I don't know.
He's been off the juice for a while, I think.
I know. But here we are. We're here to discuss the weekend's news, the talk shows. Unfortunately, bad news to report from overseas. That suicide bomber who rode in on a motorcycle and exploded his vest, killed 6 Americans and wounded 2 others. It's tragic.
And on the home front, we had our own minor tragedy in Las Vegas.
That's right. Some woman rode her car into a crowd, right into the hotel, didn't she?
She drove into a crowd, went back in the street, then went back and drove over another crowd again, hurting, I believe, 37 people.
Killed a couple of people?
Killed one. And critically wounding another 7. So, and they said it was not a terror act, but they were not ruling out that it was intentional.
Well, it's a shame in this day and age, you know, that.
And they're giving also the charge. The woman had a baby in a car.
Right.
And they're charging her with the child neglect, abuse, whatever it is. It proves one thing: you don't need a gun.
Well, you know, if you listen to what ISIS is espousing, you know, they tell you you don't need a gun. You're right. They said get into your car and do just what this woman did. Drive into a crowd of people. Let everybody know that this was inspired by ISIS or by terror.
Yeah.
This is the future that we're going to be that our children will be faced with, and our grandchildren, unfortunately.
Unless we find a way of eliminating ISIS, number one, and as Bernie Sanders said, fill in the gap. We have to know what day number 2 is.
Well, what we have to do is, I mean, it's easy for us being literally Monday morning quarterbacks here, okay? But if you're talking about Saturday's debate, one thing that Bernie said, which is very true, he said, before you go after us, and we've heard other people say this. In fact, before even, I hate to say this, but Vladimir Putin himself said this. You got to know who you're going to replace Assad with before you do anything. But the bottom line is our enemy, the coalition's enemy, is ISIS more than Assad right now. You have to get rid of ISIS because if you go after Assad, that's just going to strengthen ISIS. Okay, so you have to go after ISIS and then you decide what's going to happen with Assad. Now, when we say go after him,
Well, first thing is,
go ahead.
he's a legitimate government. If you like it or not, and who are we to tell another country?
Well, but it is a civil war. There were people.
But who are we to tell another country who their rules should be?
Well, you're right about that. Well, we did that with Saddam Hussein. We did that with Gaddafi. I mean, but these people turned out to be terror. You know, they were
all mistakes.
Well, the point that I'm making here is you got to get rid of ISIS first. Now, when we say we'll get rid of Assad, we're not talking about killing him. All right, Russia would be more than happy to give Assad and his family political asylum. Bring as much money as he wants. He'll live like a king. Okay? But, you see, by saying that you want to go after Assad first, that's why Russia bombs the Kurds and Russia bombs the rebels who are assisting us in wanting to get rid of Assad, because Russia deep down doesn't want to get rid of Assad, but they do now that now that ISIS blew up one of their planes. You know, Putin wants revenge, and I can understand that.
I wish our buddy Obama would want as much revenge, just a little bit of revenge.
Well,
and Hillary says, "I'll attack both fronts." Come on. Bernie, I think, was much better. His answers were much more thought out than anybody's.
Who, Bernie?
Yeah, Bernie.
Well, Bernie has a strategy, and he's more than happy to share it. You know, when Hillary says, one thing I'll disagree with Hillary, when Hillary says, right now we're in the right place. No, we're not. We don't have ISIS in the right place to defeat them. Okay, we need Saudi Arabian troops on the ground. We need Jordanian troops on the ground. Now, these countries don't mind bombing from the air, but they just don't want to commit soldiers on the ground because they look at Assad as being more of an enemy than ISIS. But if they're not careful, ISIS is going to be their neighbor. ISIS is their neighbor.
The problem is you don't know who your neighbor is, and who the same neighbor is going to be tomorrow. These guys change sides all the time. Look at all the Batistas. They became ISIS.
Who?
The Batistas.
In Cuba?
Huh? No. What did they call those guys that were in Iraq? They were Batistas. Weren't they?
No, Batista was...
I know that. No. What did they call the Iraqi soldiers there?
I don't know.
It was like Batistas or something.
I never heard that before. I don't know.
A lot of the generals, after Iraq was... Iraq was thrown into the...
Well, what happened is when Iraq was overthrown, Maliki said that he was going to be inclusive in the government that he formed, and he didn't. And we had, Baathists. They're Baathists. Saddam Hussein and his followers were Baathists.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, the new government...
Baathists, Batistas, you're close.
Well, no, not really. One speaks Spanish. The other one speaks Arabic. I don't know.
It's all Chinese to me.
Speak Farsi. But the bottom line is that the new government, there was no place for them in a new government, so they said, well, what the hell did we do? We overthrew Saddam.
Well, the Baathists didn't overthrow Saddam.
Well, no, but
the Baathists, when Saddam was overthrown,
I know,
by the US,
and Maliki did not make room for the Baathists or the
Sunnis.
Shias.
For the Sunnis.
The Sunnis, right. He didn't make room for them in the new government, so they felt isolated. And that's why ISIS was formed. Okay, ISIS was formed, and like I said, they blame America because America came in, they overturned Saddam Hussein, and then they left. There was no, like we always say, America's great at getting into a war, but there's never an exit strategy. You can't, even though we had troops in there for over 10 years, you can't just leave without setting up some form of government that was going to work. Okay?
Well, first thing is, we assume that we know what's going to work there.
I know, and you can't.
You know, we are butting into things that we just shouldn't be butting. Now, if for all the bad that, what's his name,
Hussein. Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein.
Him. Saddam Hussein.
No, the guy in Iran. No, I mean in Syria.
In Iraq.
No, Syria.
Assad.
For all the bad that Assad...
You need a scorecard.
I know. But with Assad, he's never been a threat to the United States. He's not a threat. What do we worry about him? The people that are threats to us. He's not a threat.
That's very true. He's not a threat to us.
Never been a threat.
You know, I mean, the fact that
Iran is a threat.
The fact that he's killed a few 100,000 of his own people, gassed his own people, chemically bombed his own people. I mean, really, it should have nothing to do with us except that.
Well, listen, a lot more people got killed in Africa, and we never got involved in it. With all the mass killings, the exterminations, the cleansing, ethnic cleansing in Africa. When did we ever get involved in any of this stuff? We didn't. You know why? They have no oil. Nobody gives a shit.
Ooh, what you said. Ooh. We don't have the 4-second rule here, do we?
No, but...
No, you're right.
So, you know, the only reason we're in those countries is because we have a vested interest in the oil.
And who has the oil now in
ISIS.
Iraq?
ISIS
has the oil in Iraq. Who has, you know, I mean, and that's what's financing them.
Yeah.
That's why Trump says, I'd bomb the hell out of
the oil fields.
The oil fields, you know. Well, you know, for those of us who remember the first President Bush, H.W. Bush, you know, he just went as far as Kuwait and he bombed the oil fields because you remember the black smoke for days, you know. But he stopped short of going into Iraq and overturning Hussein. And oddly enough, it was Dick Cheney who said, if you go in there, you'll be in there for years to come. Okay, this is the same Dick Cheney who said to George W. Bush, sure, why not? Let's invade Iraq. They have weapons of mass destruction. Okay?
Well, you know, I still don't know who started the story of mass destruction.
Well, I'm sure that Cheney had something to do with it.
Well, you know, we don't know. We really don't know. But one of the big things, you know, but what still is dominating what we're talking about is really not dominating the news anymore too much. Because everybody's too busy about talking about Hillary and Trump.
Right, and we did say we were going to talk. This is supposed to be debate central here, so let's get back to our original topic. You're right about that.
I mean, Trump is all over the place. I'll use the same word that I used before. As long as I use it once, I'll eloquently use it again. He's like shit. He's all over the place. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sick. I have a fever. I have an excuse.
What I can't